What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 90s First Show, where we review the movies and TV shows we've been watching. My name is Mike, and I'm with my host, Justin, my co-host, Justin. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to get talking about this new show we've been started on, and I hope. Well, I'm excited. Let's get into it. I'm not going to touch the mouse. We're going to get this going.
Okay then. As Justin hinted at, this is our Halo premiere review. Now, just really quickly before we get started, thank you guys so much for stopping by and listening. We are the 90s First. Please hit that review. We would really appreciate it if you write a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, whatever. Also leave a 5-star review on Spotify on the mobile app only. Maybe it's not 5 stars. Maybe it's 3 stars, and then email us or something and let us know how we're doing. We would really appreciate it. And as always, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like, comment, and specifically subscribe to the channel. We need to get to that 100 subscribers so that we could get the custom link to our channel. Finally, a little bit of housekeeping. We had a couple days ago a little bit of Test Your Might, our video game debate show, so go ahead and watch that. We had a special surprise return guest to the episode with Joe, our former host. He's taken a sabbatical from Test Your Might, and so we thought we'd bring him back for just one night only. So go check out that episode, as well as our Batman review. Our Batman review was up last week, so please go listen to that. Hope you enjoy it. Obviously, listen to it after you see the Batman. So, Justin, you saw the Batman for a second time today, and it was amazing the second time.
So good. Stand behind my entire review and our entire conjecture about it. It was very good.
Cool. Good. Well, awesome. Let's get into business here. We are reviewing the Halo premiere, and just a quick note on this. We won't be reviewing every single episode. We just don't have the time here at the 90s First, but we thought it'd be fun to at least review the first episode for you guys, and then we will come back to the last episode and we'll recap kind of the whole series, review the whole series, and then review the finale. Okay, So just with the premiere itself, Justin, what did you think about the premiere before we get into spoiler review?
I'm hopeful. It was okay. It looked nice. I do have some gripes with it, but not the same gripes as a lot of people have been bashing it for. It was okay. It was fun, but I'm hopeful that it can pick up from where I left off and keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly hopeful as well. I think it set a really good foundation for what the show is going to be. So I think it starts off on a really good foot. I think I have some gripes as well. Probably not as much as you, I would say. I think I'm on the higher end of our spectrum as far as ratings go. I had a fun time watching this. It's certainly it certainly set the precedent that it's going to take its own creative liberties from the video games itself. And to be frank, I'm okay with that. I don't want this to be a retread of the video games stories. I think that would, in my opinion, I think that would be kind of the nail in the dagger for this show if it just like recapped everything that happened within at least the original trilogy, you know? Yeah. So I think that I applaud them for taking the steps that they did, for taking the kind of the big risks in a sense. And we'll get into the biggest risk of all, which was the end of the first episode. But yeah, that's where I sit with Halo. It was fun. It was a good premiere. I think it sets a good foundation for the rest of the series. And I had fun with it. So, anything else before we get into spoilers?
Oh, let's get it. Let's get this breakdown going, because I want to hear your side for sure.
Yeah, certainly. So, listeners, if you have not seen the Halo premiere, you will have to sign up for Paramount Plus if you're not already signed up. It is exclusive to that platform. So please go ahead and do that. Couple ways to do that there. Game Pass is giving away 1 month for free. So if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you can subscribe to it for 1 month for free. Otherwise, it's $10 a month. So this is your spoiler warning. Hey, you. What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well then,
Stop it. Get some help.
so you don't feel like this guy. Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
All right, that was your spoiler warning. So once again, if you have not seen the premiere of Halo, please go ahead and stop the podcast and go watch it. So, Halo kind of starts off with like this aerial shot of some of the outer colonies, years to 2552, and basically it's looks to this like Space Needle, and that's on television, and they're watching something on television, and it's basically this whole like propaganda as far as the Spartans are concerned. A young man says that he has fought Marines, and everyone laughs. They're like around this little colony here. It's a UEG outer colony, and they are kind of playing cards, just chilling. Nothing's happening right now, and they're talking about Spartans, basically. And it is said that one Spartan is worth 100 Marines. He is told to this little man that fought Marines, and Spartans cannot be killed. So do you kind of like the start here?
Yeah, it was an okay, getting to know a side of the world that we don't really see a lot in the games. So it was really laying a foundation of learning about characters who, Spartans are kind of like a myth, a legend that they talk about. And they don't really even believe that they're on, good or bad. They can't be killed, and they're worth a lot more than normal lives. It's kind of like laying down that groundwork to the entrance forthcoming. Yeah.
For sure. Kind of like setting the stage for what a Spartan can do. All right. So General Jin Ha sees his daughter. Her name is Kwan. And she is actually hiking with some friends. They're obviously not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they're not even supposed to be out there. Like they're breaking rules left and right.
They are not supposed to be outside of the colony because it is not safe, right? They're in kind of times of war. And the one thing that they come to realize is that on their quest to find drugs, it seems.
Yeah, that's literally what they were looking for, is some kind of mushroom or some kind of flower that the roots gave them some kind of effect that they were looking for. So definitely, they come across what looks to be like a ship parked on top of a ridge, and cave lights coming out, and they immediately... Well, Kwan was the one who saw this. She ventured off after trying the... Well, I think she threw her. She didn't actually consume any of the flower.
I don't think she consumed because she
kind of chucked it.
She kind of like heard the noise and then went straight to it while her friends were getting high, for lack of a better term.
So she sees this light show coming out of the caves and a ship parked on the ridge, and she runs back to her friends and she says, "We got to get back to the colony. We got to get out of here." And they're just thinking at this point they're not in the right mindset, possibly, and they're also thinking that Kwan's just playing a joke or a game. And then the show gets brutal really quick.
Extremely. Extremely. And one important note to do this is that, because we are in spoiler territory here. And then like her reaction to this is clearly based on her knowledge of what she believes the Spartans are. She believes that these are the Spartans. That the Spartans are actually the bad guys in this universe. And that's kind of the whole premise of where we start, is that the Covenant, which is who this is, that she runs into, have done a really good job at kind of placing the blame and doing all of this work, quote unquote, undercover.
Yeah, kind of staying off the radar so that the Spartans get blamed for everything.
Exactly. So the Spartans are actually the more feared people in the galaxy, and yet it's actually the Covenant that is the main antagonist here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin, as you said, it gets brutal quick, and that's one of the things I love about this is because in Halo you don't get this type of brutality, and that's what made this episode, at least the first 18 minutes, the first start of it, like really awesome. I loved the action in this opening sequence. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree completely. The start, just the first, you see the blood splatter on Quan's face, and that remains there for the majority of that episode. They don't clean it off her face. You see arms and legs get blown off by pulse rifles. Well, not pulse rifles, but pulse. What are the automatic pulse guns?
Plasma cannons.
And for any fan of Halo, you see the edge of the ship and it's Covenant, just from a fan of Halo standpoint. But you weren't expecting the blood just to show up like that immediately, and to show you this is not a show for kids. Like, this is not a show for kids. There's a lot of grotesque things that happen. So they make their way. A lot of her friends get murdered or killed. And then she lights off a red flare, which signals her encampment back to basically fire the signal. There's something going down. Everyone kind of like hurtles down and gets guns ready. She makes it back through the gate before it closes. Literally the last person as the gate is closing, and she sees her dad there. General Jin Ha, he tells her get in the bunker basically with all the kids and stuff that can't defend themselves, and everyone else just holds the ground at the gate. And then you see a large scale action sequence happen and unfold within the encampment, as if they were just blades of grass in this world, and the Covenant were coming in. Any key points in that fight that really stood apart for you?
Well, first and foremost,
before the arrival, just the Covenant.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think once again the brutality is something that I really loved about this. But also I think they really did the elites really good. Like the brutes in this, like the CGI, I think looks really good. They look powerful. They look tall. They look utterly overpowerful, and I think they did a really good job on that. But yeah, nothing too much stands out until the Spartans actually come. As far as the Covenant, they're just shooting. Really, anything stand out specifically for you then? Is that what I'm trying to hint at?
I had one when Quan got out. She basically climbed a ladder and got out to see what was going on. Somebody outside tries to get in from the bunker that's closed.
Oh yeah.
And a brute, an elite walks up behind him and literally, like a lightsaber with his energy sword, through the door, the body, and you just see the tips of the energy sword through the door from the inside. I thought that was really cool. To see it on the,
it was really good.
To see the CGI properly done and the gore, it was good for that. For sure.
And that's another thing that I'd like to comment on. The weapons looked really good. They were kind of front and center in this first episode, kind of to show that, hey, their design and attention to detail is actually very good. And it goes to show that these people making the show love the games and want to do this right. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, next time, basically what happens is that Quan meets up with her dad and says, no, this is not the Spartans, which they originally thought it was. It is the Covenant. And then, lo and behold, the Spartans do end up showing up. And obviously they are led by the Master Chief, Spartan 117. And man, like what a banger of a scene, basically, to start this series off. Like it was awesome. The choreography was fun. I love the fact that the Spartans are kind of like this like really powerful force, even though they are smaller than the Covenant, and they you know, but they are not threatened by them in a sense. Thoughts on the Spartans' arrival, Justin?
I agree. I like the look and the fact that they're kind of like a group. I love the communication between Sierra 117 and the rest of the crew.
The Silver Team.
Yeah, I liked that aspect of it. The choreography, the fights with the CGI characters, sure. The one thing that kind of took me out was they're trying to make this its own thing and not have the story of Halo in it. But then they do something that I haven't seen since, I think, the movie Doom with The Rock, where they put you in the first-person aspect while he's fighting. So you have the gun as if you're playing the game, and you have the HUD. Yeah. And I didn't particularly like that. Like, there's sound effects and stuff. Yep, the shield sound effects, cool. But you don't need to put us in that first-person view. You know, this is supposed to be a cinematic experience, not a video game.
Yeah, and certainly I believe that if the vision of Master Chief wasn't so iconic, they wouldn't have done it. But I kind of agree with you. I think I'm with you on that. Like, I don't think it took me out of the episode, but it was certainly something where just like, I don't know if I need to see it from this perspective. Like,
no, it's better. It'll sell more if you see it from
the beauty of what they can do is that they can show you Chief's perspective in the environment, in third person, in the scenes. They don't necessarily need to go first person. And yeah, it certainly was a choice, a choice that is rooted in the video games, obviously. I mean, that's what's awesome about Halo, is that your HUD is literally Master Chief's HUD, you know, and that's what's cool about it. But I think in a television show, I think you're right. It kind of takes the immersion level even, which is crazy. It's crazy to say, but like, even though you're going more into an immersion level with first person, it takes you out of that immersion level because of this is a TV show. You know,
they did it right with the shield later on. You know, he's standing up on top of something and getting shot by a bunch of elites, and his shield starts cracking, and you hear the sound effects of the shield, and then he gets behind cover and you hear it regen, which is perfect for fans. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
They didn't need to show that with a blurry screen and visuals, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, you know, they certainly made this show, at least this premiere, with the gamers in mind, with the people who love Halo in mind, which is awesome. But, like, at least for me, I love Halo. I know what Chief is seeing. I know Chief is seeing his health at the top. I know he's seeing his map of the area on the bottom left. Like, I just know that. So, like, personally, I think it was a thing to, like, get newcomers to the series. Like, hey, this is kind of how the video game was. And it just doesn't work as well. So,
yeah, it's like with the Battlefield 2042 trailer. You know, you had that iconic trick shot everyone knows from Battlefield where you switch between planes, you fire a rocket, and you get back in the jet. But for the cinematic trailer, they showed it with 3D, you know, builds, and it made it look way better. And it was just for the visual aspect. If they could have done, you know, we don't need to see a trick shot in Halo. We've seen millions of them before. We can see it from a distance, from the side. For the cinematic quality, I think it would do better.
Yeah. Excuse me. All right. So the Spartan team cleans house, basically. And what happens is that they actually go and search the excavation site that the Covenant were doing, excavating, rather, the cave. And John, the Master Chief, finds this kind of like, I don't know what it's called. They call it a probe. And basically he's kind of transported into what we come to find are memories of his past. Mm-hmm. And so kind of bringing the human aspect to the forefront of John 117 to kind of figure out where he's from, how he got to be the Master Chief, and kind of fill in some of the blanks of his backstory that you just don't get from the games, which is what I like, and what I'm looking forward to about this series is this is a deep dive. This is a different level of Halo lore that we didn't even come to expect within the games. So
yeah. There's not really a place for it in the game. This is the back lore that deserves a cinematic experience, and that's why they're doing it. I really enjoy the fact that they're branching it out and it leaves across this entire tree of Halo. Yeah. I'm okay with that. That's why I said I'm hopeful.
Yeah. So there is a Covenant brute, a Covenant elite that is still there and sees all this stuff happening with Master Chief. That's got to be the Arbiter, right?
You know, like, it's obviously unexplained, and I doubt it because they're trying to, do their own thing. I don't think they're going to bring the Arbiter in.
You don't think?
I don't think so. I think it's just an elite that... He flew away on a Banshee, though. That was cool. You saw it fly away, and you're like, that's a Banshee.
He did, and like the Arbiter notoriously had a Banshee within Halo 2 and stuff, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
We'll put a grain of salt on that one.
Yeah, we'll stick it in the idea bucket, But anyway, he does knock down Quan, and she is basically knocked out and
invisibly as well. He had active camo, and she just gets T-boned.
So yeah, she is taken by Master Chief to be taken to the UNSC and go from there. So everybody returns to the UNSC, the Space Command, and Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey is finally introduced, and she insists on taking the object that was found by Master Chief to do some experiments, see what it is. And also, we also come to find out that she is still working on what will become more than likely Cortana. She's working on, something. I'm assuming she's working on this like artificial intelligence like Cortana. I think this is how they're going to, introduce her. Cortana doesn't get introduced in this first episode, so we'll have to see where she comes into play. We know that she does because of the trailers, and obviously it's Halo, so she's gonna be there. Yeah. But yeah, it seems like it's kind of weird. I don't know if this is true via the games or even the books. But like Cortana is like in this probe type thing. And they're actually taking a human and using her for the artificial intelligence. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and her boss is like, shut it down. She's not pro it at all, which is interesting. It was an interesting situation there with Dr. Catherine.
Yeah, so Catherine Halsey is the creator of the Spartans, right? And the Admiral is already does not like the Spartans. Like she has contingency plan upon contingency plan just in case these Spartans, basically decide that their power is big enough to be the leaders of this, like to take out the UNSC. It's like that betrayal type thing that she probably has in the back of her mind. Yeah. And so she's already not a fan of it. She has shut down the Cortana project, and stuff like that. So yeah. In fact, I think Dr. Halsey actually says the Cortana project. Later on in the episode, if I remembered.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she said something. I think she said something about Cortana. I'm not sure, but regardless. So Quan then is welcomed to the UNSC by Dr. Miranda Keyes, who happens to be Dr. Halsey's daughter. And Dr. Halsey, Miranda Keyes tries to convince Quan to kind of put out a PR message that it was actually the Covenant.
Yeah.
And it was the Spartans who saved her. And Quan's not up for that.
Yeah, no. She's going to stick with what her dad believed.
So yeah, and then throughout this whole thing, the UNSC is they're basically put into a bad light here because they're basically showing their teeth that they kill in order for, I don't know, proof, or in order for like certain things not to become widespread knowledge with the world about them.
Yeah, and that's shown a lot later on as well, when they're talking about finding Chief and Quan. It's really a different side of the UNSC that we didn't see previously. We always thought they were good people.
Yeah. And so basically, like, you know, you see some things where Miranda Keyes, she's not really keen about what's going on with the UNSC. And then later on we'll see that Master Chief kind of starts thinking that he's not keen on this whole situation, and not really liking it either. So later her father approaches her, who tells her that Quan is scheduled to be terminated.
Yeah.
Despite her objections, he is adamant that this is the way and the only way and he does say, for the survival of humanity. And yeah, some shady stuff going on here, Justin.
Yeah, you know, after that initial action sequence, it really took a turn for a drama. And it held that drama all the way to the end of the episode, pretty much. Maybe the last, 2-3 minutes had a little action in it. But for the most part, it stuck with that drama hard for a good portion of that episode.
Yeah. And, what I think is one of the downfalls of this episode, to be honest, I think that, you want to present this as a drama, but Halo to its core is Master Chief doing Master Chief's things. And maybe this was too much drama for the first episode.
We even got the Covenant side of it as well. Of the drama over there. And geez, I don't know. That's where it really turned me off for the episode. And I'm still hopeful because that action sequence at the beginning really did hook me. It was nice. And the story, you know, if you pay attention, if you follow it, it's good. It's like a good foundation, like you said. But I do think that it was a poor choice to have it so much drama in that first episode. You know, you could have had a little hint in there, here and there, but you didn't need to consist almost 40 minutes of the episode was drama.
You know, overall, I'm still okay with it. But it's a little tough to have Halo not have more real action scenes outside of that first 18 minutes. And 18 minutes, to be honest, is a long time, but it was just a little tough. But I'm still okay with it just because, I mean, this is a series. It's going to flesh out over time, and I think it's going to be good for it. So,
did they say how many episodes it was going to be?
It's 9 episodes for the first season.
Okay, all right.
9 episodes. So there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
And again, this is a great foundation. You know, you know, like, you got to think about it this way. The Mandalorian, that first episode, wasn't the best either. But that show turned out perfect, in my mind. So, I mean, there's hope. All right. With Quan and the Master Chief heading back to the UNSC, they have some food, everything. Quan wants to kill Master Chief, and Quan tells Master Chief that her mother was actually killed by Master Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, this is something where you start pouring in the human element of John 117. Like, you kind of, because of him touching this probe, he is questioning everything that he has stood for what a Spartan is.
Yeah.
And the orders that he has taken for said Spartan, for the UNSC. And he's questioning all this. And then this is just another dagger in him saying, I killed this person's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think I want to try to save her. Because again, a kill order has gone to Master Chief to kill Quan.
Yeah.
And so he stops. He doesn't go with the plan. Quan still wants to kill him. She still doesn't like this dude. So yeah.
This is where you get your reveal right here.
Yeah. So Master Chief is starting to have memories. Dr. Halsey takes it upon herself to end the threat of Quan. So they actually drop the oxygen level in the ship to just put them asleep, so that they're able to. Well, I think they wanted to kill Quan in the flight, but just put Master Chief to sleep.
Yeah. They dropped the oxygen different in his suit than compared to the ship itself. So there was definitely some kind of I want to save Chief.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically, but the chief stayed alive, or he didn't go to sleep, which was cool. This is where a little bit of the action comes into play again, and yeah, he actually manually adds oxygen back to the ship, because he has a heart for Quan now, and he wants Quan to survive all this. And so Quan thinks that.
As if it was so simple to just peel open one of the floor panels and have a dial there that's just like, oh, this is for oxygen, the perfect floor panel I open. Sure, okay, whatever.
He's the chief, man.
Oh, yeah, X-ray vision.
Oh, man. Anyway, Quan still thinks that the chief was the one who did the oxygen level, and he says he didn't. And then he takes off his helmet to kind of prove human to human, eye to eye, that he's not a robot.
Well, she also has a gun pointed at him at that point, and he's like, if you guys shoot me, you're going to have to shoot me, you're going to have to aim higher. And he takes off his helmet to show that he's not afraid to die and he's telling the truth. It was okay.
So yeah, and then the Admiral basically orders that Master Chief be brought in and killed, actually. And Dr. Halsey gets her Spartan team, overrides those orders to the Spartan team.
Yeah, supersedes them really, and says to protect Chief. And they even ask, shoot to kill, enemy fire okay. And they said if they are trying to kill Chief, then they're not a friendly. Yeah.
Well, and this just shows the teeth of the video games as well. Mm-hmm. The Chief is the savior of this universe. He is the soldier, boots on the ground. He's doing it all. And Dr. Halsey at this point sees his potential.
Yeah.
And especially she sees the potential of him being this person with Cortana. and she wants to finish the Cortana project so that she can get an AI to Chief.
If it's the Cortana project.
It is. I mean, it has to be. Anyway. So the Admiral has Chief Keys shoot down the plane. It is disabled. The Master Chief is in there. He ends up... The artifact actually falls, so the probe falls out of its case, and he touches it, and it kind of acts like an EMP to the rest of the ship, but it simultaneously acts as a power source to his Pelican to make it go on again. Yeah. To recharge it, basically.
Yeah, they literally buckle in and take off because everyone else there, all their guns, all their systems are down, and the Pelican, the ship that Chief and Quan are in, is the only thing that has power, pretty much at that point.
Exactly.
So they're just like, you guys are going to shoot us. There was literally C4 planted on the side of their door at that point. Like, they were just about to breach and EMP, and then they're out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So basically, that's the episode. Quan and the Chief fly off. They escape. And that's it. And, we'll see where this goes. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think it's going to be a fun ride. We'll see where they land the plane. No pun intended, for, Chief flying off. And so just with the remainder of this time, Justin, that we have on the cast, what are your thoughts on the Chief taking his helmet off?
Oh, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Okay. I never had an issue with that. As soon as they said they were bringing it to the show, I was like, okay, so we're going to get a human sense of the character, and that's taking the helmet off. I knew that was going to happen, and that's fine, because they also said it was going to be a drama, and you can't have drama without seeing the human side of Chief. So that's fine. I don't have any gripes with that. It was more the flow of the episode and the trajectory. I really do have hope, but it could have been a lot better. That's honest approval.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him taking off his helmet. Mm-hmm. What I think I will have a problem with is if him with his helmet off is drawn out for long periods of time. Okay. Like, I think that is where I'm going to have the problem, because, like, basically I don't want his helmet on just during action scenes. Mm-hmm. Because one of the beauties about the video games, and especially with Halo Infinite, I just recently played through the campaign. One of the beauties of that is that you can see Chief's humanity even without seeing his face. Mm-hmm. You could see it. And I really hope that in majority of the time they do hone into that and don't focus so much with him without his helmet on. Yeah. I think it's okay that his helmet comes off. I think it's okay that it's off for certain scenes. I just hope that they also try to represent what the games represented, is that even though this guy has a helmet on, he's a human underneath it, and he's just like us in a sense. So that's kind of where I'm coming at it. I'm 100% okay with it. They kind of have to do it. It's a TV show. It's not a video game. And so I agree with the decision. I just hope that it is more often that he's still in his helmet. But that's also because, like, Pablo Schreiber or whatever his name is, like, I think his voice is very good with the helmet on, and like I think his inflections and the way that he acts and delivers his lines, like, it really worked for me. So I think it could work that way as well. So, and I'm looking up the name because Pablo Schreiber. I was right. Wow. Okay.
You know what what I thought was, why they disembody his voice when he's wearing that helmet. They make it different. And we already knew that Schreiber was going to be cast as an earlier Master Chief. Why not, now this is crazy, but why not have Steve Downes, the original Master Chief, voice the helmet shots and then have Schreiber do his action, out of the helmet stuff? The voice modification is all up to the helmet at that point.
I that would be cool, but I disagree with that decision. Reason being is because I like the very subtle difference that they have within his voice without the helmet and his voice with the helmet. They sound the same. And I think if you have Steve Downes doing all the helmet stuff and then you have Pablo doing the outside of the helmet stuff, this show would be terrible. I really believe it. Your main character is a different person.
Yeah.
With the helmet on and with it off, if you do that. It really is. I really think just like the kind of like, I don't want to say robotic, but like kind of the muffled but clear
it's like the Mandalorian does.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like the Mandalorian. And if you take if you take that away, it and put Steve Downes in it, like it just doesn't work.
Okay, so I got another question for you. All we know is the title for the next episode. This is going to be a prediction for you. The title of the next episode is called Unbound. What do you think will happen? Do you, like, from my perspective, he has enemies with everyone at this point. He is considered a threat. So what do you think will happen? Yeah. It's just a prediction. Be wild, whatever you want.
I think that Unbound goes for multiple characters in the episode. I think Dr. Halsey is going to find out that she needs to start being unbound by the UNSC, and she needs to create her Cortana. So I think the second episode they will introduce Cortana, and then obviously the Chief is figuring out where he stands. And also, I think it's going to show the power that he comes to find operating outside of the UNSC. Like, you see that in the video games all the time, of him like making decisions for the betterment of humanity, no matter what the cost, no matter what the orders. Chief just does what is best for people. And so I think you'll see that.
And
then the Arbiter comes and he's invisible, and then Cortana just transports over there and slaps the Arbiter in the face. No, I'm just kidding.
That sounds like a great idea. I do think that the Spartan team will also become unbound. They will stand behind Chief in his decisions because he's laid his life down for them multiple times. Yeah. Even at this point. I agree with you completely. I'm okay with those Arbiter slaps. That sounds good.
No, I'm just kidding.
So I want, go ahead and out of 5, you know how we do it for the first episode. What do you get?
I was going to say let's skip this and let's just do the
this
finale. Okay.
This will be how it changes over the entire show.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5. And we're gonna go 4 out of 5. Those drug mushrooms.
Oh goodness. I'm gonna go with 3.5 out of 5.
So we're not too far.
More a 3. I would go 3.25 if I could, but I don't want to give it a 3. Arbiter slaps. No, I can't do that. That's not in it yet. That's next week. I'm gonna go with Spartan shots. Those are good. All the shots, and I'm talking camera shots, not like shots with a gun. Okay, camera shots, Spartan camera shots out of 5.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Well, anyway, listeners, that was our review of the Halo review. Stay tuned 9 weeks from now where we review the entire series. So yeah, leave us a review. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. For Justin, my name is Mike. This has been the 90s First review of the Halo premiere, and we're out.
Bye.
Bye. It's time to finish this podcast.